Fox 23 exclusive as Tulsa police work to find the shooter in Tulsa's latest homicide. We're talking with the victim's family who's trying to cope with her loss. Fox 23's John Acebus is live. John, they say none of this makes sense.
Yeah, definitely not at this point. Police are still investigating, really, for Shermiah Breed's family. They want to know why she was in that neighborhood and what led up to that shooting. But most importantly, what would it take for someone to pull out a gun and shoot someone that they cared about so much?
That's it. We love her and we miss her.
It's not the mother or the great aunt of 22.
You know what? You see this emotion and it really tears you up. But lately I've been just seeing the same type of emotion, like over Kyle Rittenhouse. I've been seeing this same type of emotion over St. Floyd. Even more. Because we rarely see this, which I document frequently on this channel. But when we do see it, it's like, man, you feel these people and you know what they're going through, and it's terrible. And I know 3 people who died 2 weeks ago. The week before this week. So, not this past week, but the week before. I know 3 people I know died. 1 got shot brutally. 100 shots. Another died of pneumonia. And another one had a stroke while she was sleeping. And she was 43. So, we're talking about, I understand it. I understand that, this stuff is real. People, it really happens. It's just that there's so much emotion over Gage, Gosenkreuz, and Huber, and all those people that Kyle shot. From Sun people. And no one cries for the Sun people that died except for maybe their family.
That's it. We love her and we miss her.
It's not the mother or the great aunt of 22-year-old Shermiah Breed who should be apologizing right now. It was their girl that was taken from them.
All we know is that our family member is gone, our baby's gone.
Shermiah died after police say she was shot in her car in this quiet neighborhood. Her great aunt, Lakeisha Smith, remembers that call.
She just tells me, Maya's been shot. I'm like, what do you mean?
After she was shot, her sports car kept speeding down the road.
She had a Camaro, so they heard the revving of the engine. She said
she crashed into someone's home. Her family would have done anything to be there for her.
But I'm like, okay, I'm on my way.
But it was neighbors who were there in this North Tulsa neighborhood off North Elgin Avenue who found her and tried to save her life.
They stayed, and she said they did shifts doing CPR until IMSA showed up. So I just wanted to thank her.
A description, since everything's about race in this country. Now, give me a description on those people who did shifts of CPR, meaning that all of them knew CPR. Give me a description on those people. No one clapping in her face. No one saying, oh man, she did. Already proclaiming she did. And no one filming on their camera. No one yelling at someone else to call 911. Just shifts of people doing CPR until the paramedics got there.
They stayed, and she said they did shifts doing CPR until IMSA showed up. So I just wanted to thank her. I'm actually going to go and visit the neighbor where she crashed.
But this isn't how her family wants Shermiah to be remembered. Rather, her smile.
In all her pictures, she's just smiling. That's just who she was.
And how she looked coming home from work.
I expect her to walk through the door with an Amazon jacket on so I could tease her. I just wanted her to walk through that door.
Police are still working to find out who shot her and why she was in a neighborhood that her family says she normally would not go to.
They've cheated us, and I just hope they find who did it.
Until they get answers to those questions, they'll lean on what can't be taken, her memory.
We love her. We're definitely gonna miss her.
We did reach out to the Tulsa Police Department today. As of now, there are no new updates in the case, which means right now we don't know of any suspects or anyone to look out for. But the family thinks someone knows something out there. So if you do know anything, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers or the Tulsa Police Department. Covering News That Matters, I'm John Acebus.
Happened on the freeway in Oakland. It happened yesterday morning on the westbound approach to the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. KTVU's Amanda Quintana just spoke with the mother of the young woman who was killed. She joins us now live with an update on this heartbreaking story, Amanda.
Yes, well, this time the victim was a young mother. The CHP says about 9:15 yesterday morning, 29-year-old Amani Morris was sitting in the passenger seat when a car pulled alongside the SUV that she was in and started shooting into it multiple times. Amani's fiance was driving, and we've learned that her two young children, ages 5 and 3, were in the car.
Now, having kids in the car used to be something that would ward off, oh man, they got kids, we get them next time. That used to be something that would, now it almost like if they got beef with you, they want to hit your kids. They want to hit your old lady. And these guys ain't going to get caught. They rarely do. And when they do, some liberal DA or liberal prosecutor either won't charge them or will give them reduced charges. And then 10 years later, when they're doing their sentence, if they get convicted, somebody like Kim Kardashian type will come along and tell you that, dude, the jury was all white, so you need to let him go. Or the judge dressed up in blackface in his high school yearbook, so you got to let the person go. Or we found a technicality. The officer who was lead officer on the case, they found out that he didn't like Sun people. Well, how you know he didn't like Sun? Because one of his crackhead that he arrested said that he called him the N-word. He arrested the crackhead one time. The crackhead said, "Yeah, he used a racial slur against me." So gotta throw out all his cases. So it's like, man, it's almost impossible to get justice nowadays when the Sun Man is involved.
Amani's fiance was driving, and we've learned that her two young children, ages 5 and 3, were in the car. CHP hasn't confirmed the details or given a motive, but police say the shooting appears to have been deliberate. Amani's mom tells me she doesn't think Amani would be a target and that she was a creative and loving mother. They were in her fiance's car on the way to Amani's job interview at the time.
And she was telling me the day before, Mommy, she told me it was all but mine. I just had to talk to her boss, and so tomorrow is going to clinch it. So 20 minutes before this happened, she had called me. We were FaceTiming. She, my grandkids, and my husband, we were all on the phone laughing and talking, and she said, "I'll call you when it's over." Except for that was the last time I talked to her.
This is the second deadly freeway shooting we've seen in Oakland in less than 2 weeks, and the third in less than 4 weeks. On November 6th, 23-month-old Jasper Wu was shot and killed on 880. Then the week before, rapper Monty Price was shot and killed on 580. That was October 20.
Another rapper was killed? God, dog. We didn't even hear about that rapper. so many rappers get killed. Monty Price. Wow. It's another dead rapper.
It's been a dangerous year for freeway shootings. There have been 76 in Alameda County in the last 12 months, most along 880 and 580. That's about 6 shootings a month. We have an interactive map on KTVU.com showing exactly where those shootings happened and what information police have released about each one. Live in the newsroom, Amanda Quintana, KTVU Fox 2 News.
A feeling that will stick forever. It's what 2 Louisville families say about the pit in their stomach they've been feeling since losing loved ones last year. And with the Metro reaching a record number of homicides for the 2nd year in a row, it's a feeling becoming all too common.
So you mean to tell me that the aftermath of the Breonna Taylor protests that swept through Louisville and the criminal justice reform that ensued and the defunding of the police, not only in dollars, but as far as in esteem, like no one respects police anymore down there. All that led to last year being a record year for murders. And then the next year, which was this year, surpassing that. And as I've documented, many of the victims are women. Sisters. A lot. Similar to Philadelphia. Like the same thing that's going on in Philadelphia is going down there with these sisters. They are getting smoked. But you know the funny thing about it? No one cares. No NBA players, no WNBA players, no Jalen Rose. None of these people care. None of these activists, Tamika Mallory, none of them care that is an epidemic of sisters getting smoked in broad daylight in public in Louisville. When they just proclaimed how much they cared about sisters last year, 2 years ago, last year. These people are cold. These activists are cold. They're ice cold, man. God, that's cold. You'd think they would be like a year later, you know, NBC or CBS or MSNBC or CNN. A year later, we're back in Louisville. And this time, not only for one dead sister, but dozens. Because we care so much about sisters. No, they just like drop Louisville like a bad habit.
A feeling that will stick forever. It's what 2 Louisville families say about the pit in their stomach they've been feeling since losing loved ones last year. And with the Metro reaching a record number of homicides for the 2nd year in a row, it's a feeling becoming all too common. Losing a loved one to gun violence is something Antonia Lucas's mom says is the worst kind of pain.
We still feel a void. The joy is gone. You know, there's a piece of us that's missing.
On New Year's Eve 2020, she tracked her daughter's phone to Lambton Street in the Smoketown neighborhood. That's where she found a car. Her daughter was inside, shot to death. While it's been more than 300 days since that painful discovery, she says this type of pain is something that time can't heal.
This was something that I carried for 9 months that grew inside of me. I felt her kick. And to know that someone took her away from me, just like that.
And she's not alone. Since laying her daughter to rest, another 173 more have been murdered in the Metro.
Because every day you know it's at least 1 or 2 people killed.
And it's just too many people running loose, doing whatever. It's out of control.
Alexa.
Too many people running loose, doing whatever. So that entails that the people aren't being brought to justice. And if they are, they're given a bail and they're given an ankle monitor and a 2023 court date. Or they're just being released with no charges. I don't think that Breonna would have wanted this. Even though she was a thug, and I, you know, I documented that well. She was a thug missus. She was a boss lady. She was, you know, a intricate part of a drug syndicate. However, I don't think she would have wanted this bloodbath for her city to turn, into just like a place where sisters are not safe. They're just simply not safe.
And it's just too many people running loose doing whatever. It's out of control.
Alexis Cooper lost her brother Robert Mitchum IV in March of last year. She says it pains her to hear of another family experiencing a similar situation, because what they don't know is that they're in for a long road of suffering.
It will change in what it looks like and what it feels like, but that longing for someone that you love that was taken away from you for no reason is forever. Forever.
And the impact of that suffering is causing Cooper to fear the very place she grew up loving.
My brother was a West End guy. That connection to the West End was the demise of my brother. So, no, I don't particularly care to be in the West End. No, I don't particularly care to be anywhere near anybody or anything that would symbolize why I'm missing such a big part of me. I'm sorry.
City leaders have announced plans to combat the violence, including talks to reopen the Jefferson County Youth Detention Center, which was shut down due to budget cuts.
So a big part of their problem, and think about this, walk with me. A big part of their murder problem in Louisville is the fact that the youth detention center was shut down. Ay, 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 ay. So that lets you know that a large portion of their murders are being done by youth. Young people, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. Give me a description on these young people. What these young people probably look like? What community do they probably come from? Wow. And why was this facility shut down? Because disproportionately, institutionally, systematically. But as soon as you shut it down, because it was systematically, institutionally disparaging, the murder rate skyrocketed. And the murder of women, sisters, skyrocketed. Who's raising these kids? I know the hardware is bad. Trust me. I know the hardware is bad. However, it can't be that bad. Because I've been hearing about this 17-year-old glacier glider kid who's the worst person in the world. And what he did was the worst thing that all these people had ever seen. But when you get to talk to him, you find out that they don't have no teens that would have ran from Gage, Grosskreutz, and Mr. Huber, and Rosenbaum. They don't got no kids that would have ran. They got a bunch of kids that would, as soon as it would, what? They would have never ran with that piece of iron in their hands. Yet they'll get on the media and cry and sob over Kyle getting off. These people are disgusting.
City leaders have announced plans to combat the violence, including talks to reopen the Jefferson County Youth Detention Center, which was shut down due to budget cuts. But until there's change, both Lucas's mom and Cooper say expect more of the same.
And if you don't get these kids off the street that are causing half of these problems, it's only going to get worse.
In Louisville, Manoj Kungwari, WLKY News.
And of the 173 homicides, LMPD has made arrests in nearly 60 of those cases. There are more than 100 cases still unsolved from last year as well.
So they have over 100 cases, murders unsolved this year, and over 100 last year. How many serial killers are walking the streets of Louisville? Oh, the same amount that are walking the streets of every other city, democratically run city in this country. Look at these faces. God. Jeez Louise. You would think this town was 90% Sun people. Jeez Christ. My God.